All right, welcome to Tech Talk, where we show you how to embrace technology in order to move your business forward. I'm Remya Warrior, the chair and host of Tech Talk. And today, our guest is Don Downs, an Evernote expert. Don is the creator and founder of rvbusinesscoach.com and Outsmart Your Technology. He helps people unlock the handcuffs that keep them shackled to their desk so that they can live the life of their dreams. I learned Evernote with Don, and he has also helped me with other technology tools like Nimble, marketing automation, etc. So I have a favor to ask of all of you. If you like this training, please post something on social media with these hashtags ASIDNJ, TechTalk, and in this episode, Outsmart Your Technology. All right, now 2 housekeeping announcements before we begin. One is make sure you change your chat session to everyone so that everyone can see that chat. And also, as we are going through the presentation, if any questions pops into your mind, please make sure that you jot them down. But Don will answer it at the end of the presentation. All right, Don, over to you.
All right, good morning, everybody. Let's see here.
Okay, so you're going to share your screen, I guess?
I'm going to share my screen. Hang on, it just went away.
And we did try doing this a little bit earlier, too.
There we go.
Okay.
All right, so hopefully you're seeing my title screen there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, good morning, everyone. I'm going to talk a little this morning about why I love Evernote and why I think you should too. As I like to say, if you've ever tried Evernote and you didn't love it, you're doing it wrong. So a little bit about me. I am, as Remya said, I founded Outsmart Your Technology and a new venture, RV Business Coach. And I am a Book Yourself Solid certified coach. So I really love helping people use technology to grow their business. I'm a productivity junkie. I read everything I can get my hands on about how to be more productive. And I love technology. But my love for technology comes with a caveat. I only like technology when it makes your life easier or improves your quality of life. So if it saves you time, that lets you do something of more value with your time. If it saves you money so you can make other investments, that's great. But technology can be kind of a double-edged sword. And I have the example here of the food processor because, my food processor can cut up carrots for a salad in about 5 seconds. And then it takes me about 15 to 20 minutes to wash it and dry it and put it all away when I'm done. Or I can get out a good old-fashioned knife and cutting board and have my carrots done in about 30 seconds, complete. So when I look at technology, I'm always looking at what will it do for you, and I don't just recommend it for technology's sake. I think Remya went over some of these things on your viewing pleasure, but I recommend you remove distractions so you can focus. You might want to turn off notifications on your phone and computer so you can focus, and by all means take notes and have any questions, be sure to let us know. So Evernote is my primary go-to app. In fact, if I could only have one app, it would probably be Evernote. Now, to be honest, that passion for this app has in some ways held me back at times from teaching about it because I always think about one of my college professors. He was a brilliant guy. He loved this subject. He lived, he breathed, he ate it. He was incredibly passionate about it, and he couldn't teach it worth beans. So I think sometimes when we love something too much, we have difficulty putting into words why we love it and what we get out of it. So I really want to ask you to use the chat window. If I'm going too fast, if I'm saying something that you don't understand, be sure to pop a question in there. Remy, I'll give you permission to interrupt me and read the question if it's something relevant where we are at that moment. So, because I don't want to lose people.
Mm-hmm.
So for starters, just a quick question. How many of you have heard of Evernote? You can just answer that in the chat window if you'd like. And then the follow-up question is, have you ever tried it?
All right, so we do have a couple of yes. Oh, Pat says she never succeeded in using it. Terry says yes. Oh, it's going pretty fast. I can't read everything. All right, some people are saying no. Some people are saying not with any success. So I think this is very spot on with what we need right now.
Right. So, and I get that a lot. Most people I talk to have heard of Evernote. A lot of them have tried Evernote, but frequently they tried it and they came away kind of shaking their head and saying, I don't understand. What's the big deal? What's all the hype about? The last question here is, do you use Evernote on a regular basis?
I do.
Some probably do. And if not, what's holding you back? Did you try it once before and find it confusing? Are you resisting it simply because you've heard so much hype about it and you don't want to be suckered into the newest and latest thing?
So,
we always get that. Yes.
right. So, Don, do you want them to write what their biggest challenges are as far as Evernote goes?
Sure.
All right. Wind up rewriting notes that are handwritten.
Say that again.
Oh, so Valerie's saying she ends up having to rewrite the notes that are handwritten, or
Okay.
Well, I think you mean like if you're taking notes on like a piece of paper, then you have to retype in everything. Is that what you're trying to say? Oh, okay. So we have someone who says, let me see how to go in back there.
So that's a common issue. Most of us, me included, can write faster than we can type. And there's been some studies about watching college students and finding that those who took handwritten notes had better retention than those who typed. Although I've seen some newer studies that indicate that may not be holding with the younger generation. It may be a case of what you grow up with is what you do best. So kids who have started out typing from their entire learning career may have as well retention typing as they do writing. But for those of us who have been around a while and are used to writing, yeah, it's a slower process. And I'll show you some ways to get around that in the presentation.
All right. So, Dawn, first, like there are a couple of people who have never used Evernote.
Okay.
So can you explain what it is before we go into why use it?
That's coming up.
Okay.
All right. So if you've heard of Evernote and maybe you've tried it, maybe you haven't, but you're not using it consistently, or maybe you are using it consistently, but you don't think it's the greatest tool you've ever used in your life, you're in the right place. Today, I'm going to talk about why I love Evernote and why I think you should too. So let's start with what is Evernote. Evernote is basically an app that was designed for note-taking and archiving of those notes. By archiving, I mean simply storage and retrieval. I hear a lot of people refer to Evernote as a second brain. I don't think that's such a great description because Evernote doesn't think for you, and that's really what the brain is great at. What Evernote does do really well is capture and store information and let you retrieve it later. It does a really great job of this. In fact, it does a better job than the human brain does, because the human brain, as we all know, doesn't always retrieve some of the stuff we put in there. So in that respect, Evernote is kind of like an external hard drive for your brain. Information that you run across every day that you know you're going to need in the future, you can store in Evernote and access it quickly. So we'll look at why should I use Evernote. I use it to retain valuable information. That includes things like random thoughts through the day. You know, the great thoughts always occur at the wrong times. You know, David Allen in Getting Things Done gives an example of you have a flashlight on the dresser that needs batteries. When do you think about the fact that flashlight needs batteries? Usually when you're going to bed and you look at the nightstand and you go, oh, I forgot to get batteries today. Or for me, when I'm driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour, I'll go, oh yeah, I need to get batteries. Those aren't great times to process that. You know, if the brain was really good, when you were in the grocery store close to the battery aisle, it would pop up and say, go get batteries. So Evernote lets you capture those kinds of thoughts quickly and easily and then organize them and retrieve them when you need them. It's great for retaining information like web pages. When I'm researching a project or researching a product, I save off the web pages. Capturing receipts, I keep all of my business expense receipts in Evernote. Instruction manuals, project-related information, to-do items, and so much more. The big thing this does for us is it allows us to save a lot of time because we have all that information and we can access it quickly and easily. No more looking for paper copies. When your notes are in Evernote, they're really easily accessible. The information you need is right at hand and you don't waste time looking for papers. I don't know about anyone else, but I tend to have a stack of papers when I'm processing paper and it takes a while to go through and find all of them. So to save time, spend it doing things that really matter, like high-level activities for your business or spending times with friends and family, or maybe even just getting enough sleep. I think that paper inherently wastes time. If you're really organized, you have your paper filed somewhere. So all you have to do is remember where you filed it, then open the right file drawer in the right file cabinet, find the right folder, sort through the other papers in the folder to find the contents of the right document. And how many times do you have to look in more than one place? Did the article on garden tools from your brother get filed under tools, gardening, or under your brother? And you might have to look in multiple places to find it. So once you really start using Evernote, you only have to look in one place, and that's Evernote. You can use the Evernote search functionality, which we'll talk about later today, to find documents quickly and easily. Having all your stuff handy can save you a lot of time as well. For example, when you go to the doctor and you check in, they always want to know your insurance information, what medications you're on. If you register a child for camp, they always want to know his vaccination schedule. Same thing if you take your pets to a boarding facility, they want to know the date of all the vaccinations. I keep all of that stuff in Evernote. And then I have it right at my fingertips. And before going to the doctor, I'll go to the medication log and print it out and take that along. And I tell you, it's great when you check in and they want to know your medications. You just hand them a piece of paper and go, here it is. And it's so much faster than having to go through everything with them. Another nice thing about Evernote is you can easily share notes. Unlike paper, multiple people can access the same note at the same time. So as an example of this, when I was working on redesigning my office, which is still work in progress, so don't hold Remya responsible for the stuff you see in the background. But Remya and I shared an Evernote notebook, and all of our design notes went in it. She would ask me questions, I would answer them, I would send her pictures of things I liked, she would send pictures of proposals, and it was really convenient and fast and easy and much easier than the old days when we would have been mailing or even emailing notes back and forth to each other. So ways you can share notes, you can share the notes, you can share notebooks, and Evernote even has a chat capability so you can send messages back and forth. But the biggest benefit I get out of Evernote is helping me stay focused. It reduces mental clutter, reduces decision fatigue, and helps me think more clearly. I think physical, emotional, and mental clutter are linked. I found that if you have clutter in one of these areas, it tends to manifest in clutter in the other areas as well. So when I have a lot of physical clutter, I start feeling more emotionally cluttered and more mentally cluttered as well. So clearing clutter in one of those areas often helps in the other, and Evernote is great for reducing both the mental clutter and the physical clutter. One way is because Evernote can help you reduce your need for paper. Most paper documents can be scanned and sent to Evernote, which eliminates the need for the original. So now I go online, I find the instruction manuals for new purchases, I pop them into Evernote. Brochures and product info goes in there. Even my kids' artwork goes in there. And at first, this feels a little funny when you take a picture of your kid's artwork and throw it out. But you know, the reality is 10 years from now, that artwork's going to be a yellowed, crispy piece of paper in the attic, but it'll still be a picture that I can easily lay my hands on. You can also save receipts. A little footnote on that. I've gotten mixed results from tax attorneys and CPAs. Some say it's perfectly fine to have just a photo of the receipt, and others say you still need the physical receipt. So talk to your tax advisor, take appropriate action. What I do is I actually have a box of all the receipts for a year, but they're not organized. I get them organized in Evernote. You can throw out stuff. You know, when I go to a conference and I get handouts, I'm always really great at taking notes on those handouts, and then I never look at them again. So now I bring them home and I put them in Evernote, and I've got them for the future when I want to access it instead of knowing it's in a pile somewhere. So Evernote really gives you a clear head. It reduces your mental clutter, as I said earlier, decision fatigue, and helps you think clearly. It's reported that Einstein didn't remember his own phone number. When he was asked his phone number, he reached for a phone book, and when asked why, he said, "Why would I learn something that I can easily look up?" So if he had access to Evernote, he'd never have to learn anything. Likewise, Sherlock Holmes had an attic theory, that your brain is like an attic. You can only put so much stuff in there, and if you start trying to put more stuff, you have to get rid of stuff. So Evernote lets you put stuff there and keep your brain open for the important stuff. So as a little exercise, you can do this to yourself. Don't necessarily have to put it in the chat window, but you're probably thinking about lots of things in the middle of this presentation, like the fact that you need to go to the grocery store and buy some cat food, or replace the flashlight batteries or whatever. If you quickly, on a scrap piece of paper, list some of that out, and as you do, I'm going to ask the question, is this affecting your concentration and comprehension? Because part of your brain is going, oh, I really want to learn about Evernote, and the other part of your brain is going, remember the cat food, remember the cat food. As soon as this is over, go to the store and get the cat food. So if you can develop and use a system to get those thoughts out of your head so they can be processed later, then you can really keep a much more clear head. There's a couple of ways to do the system. You can use paper or electronic. There's advantages of paper, like we talked earlier. It's easy to write. There's cons because it's hard to search and back up. Electronic, on the other hand, is always available, easily searched, easily backed up. You can do multiple input formats, and it's locked. You know, you leave your day planner in a restaurant, whoever finds it has access to all of your notes. You leave your phone, they have to unlock it before they get access to it. The only potential disadvantages of electronic systems is it does take a little bit of practice to get used to it, and anything electronic is there with the potential for hacking, although I think the risk of someone hacking you and me in Evernote is pretty small. So I recommend an electronic system, and of course I recommend Evernote. So let's take a look at how does Evernote work. Evernote goes where you go. It can be on your phone, your tablet, your laptop and desktop, any platform, Windows, Mac, iPhone, iPad, Android, Windows, whatever. It syncs across all of these platforms. So you put a note in one place, it shows up in all of the others. And what can you store? Almost anything. I've mentioned some of these earlier: thoughts, web pages, emails, blog ideas, to-do list, errands list, planning and organizing projects. I keep my blogs in Evernote, both ideas for new blogs, drafts of blogs, and published blogs. Evernote can save so many kinds of data, not just text notes. So you can save notes, lists, pictures, voice memos, documents, whether they're in PDF, Word, Excel, and even more. And the nice thing about documents is say you have a Word document in Evernote and you open it up from Evernote, modify the Word document and save it, those updates will be saved in Evernote. I mentioned that I keep a lot of random thoughts like blog ideas, new product ideas, people I need to reach out to, all the errands. My wife and I share a grocery list note in Evernote. And I keep reference data like, what printer cartridge do you use? How many times have you gotten to the office store and gone, oh, what model printer do I have? What print do I need? I just look it up in Evernote. Same with light bulbs and batteries. Gift ideas. When I have an idea of something I want, I put it in a note that's shared. When I have a gift idea that others in the family want, I put it in there. And then come Christmas time, it's easy to shop. All my insurance info is in there, medical records, souvenirs, journals, goals and affirmations, including my mission statement, vision statement, and affirmations, the life plan that I have, blogs. I've mentioned this a couple of times, capturing blog ideas. I actually write them in there. I have a template to help me write them. Business documentation like systems and rituals, all kinds of reference materials. Even meeting notes are handy, and then you can share the note with everybody in the meeting. You can take pictures of the whiteboard and flip chart. If there were handouts, you can scan those and add them to the notes. And client notes. And here's, again, you can share those notes with the clients. You can share pictures and have two-way sharing between you and your client. So hopefully I've opened up some ideas for how to use Evernote, and let's get started at looking how do we do it. So for starters, you need an Evernote account. You can start with the free account. You can upgrade as time goes on. I'm not sure these prices are still current. I think premium is somewhere around $50 to $60 a year, which is a pretty small investment for a business. But like I said, you can start with free, and when you discover the features that are holding you back, then go ahead and upgrade. I know one of the features in premium is the number of devices that can share across. I think the free account only lets you share two devices. So like your desktop and your iPhone, but your iPad couldn't also share. Premium also lets you annotate PDF documents. Here is a link that I'll have Remya send you after the session. This link should get you a free trial of premium if you don't already have an Evernote account. Unfortunately, if you have an account, it doesn't upgrade you to premium for a short period of time. But if you're just starting out, you can use this link, and it should get you a free trial of premium for I think it's like 30 days, or maybe it's only 2 weeks. So the next step on your desktop is to download and install Evernote. You can do that at evernote.com/download. It is available from the Mac store, but I like the version off of the Evernote website because it gets around Apple sandboxing and gives you some additional features. Once you log in, you need to set up, once you run the program, you need to log in with that account you created and then set up some shortcuts. For the Mac, I put Evernote on the dock. For PC, I put it on the quick launch, so it's always ready to launch. Install the Evernote Clipper in any browsers that you use. You can do that by going to evernote.com/webclipper, and then it'll detect what browser you're on and give you the extension for that browser. And if you're a Mac, go into Preferences and enable the Evernote helper. I'll show why in a minute. And then finally, you need to set up a default inbox, and I like calling it Star Inbox because Evernote sorts notebooks alphabetically, and star inbox in will put it up at the top. The default inbox is any note you create that you don't specify where it's going in the default inbox. And then I recommend about once a week you go through there and put things in the right places. So now you're set up on the desktop. Doing it on the phone is similar. It's easiest to go to the App Store for the iPhone or go to the Google Play Store. You'll have to take full advantage of everything. You want to enable camera access, put it in your dock maybe if you're going to access it. Well, yeah, put it in the dock because I think you should access it frequently. And go into the Evernote settings and set up the settings that you'll want for that. For example, synchronize on Wi-Fi only. If you're really tight on your data plan, you might want to turn that on. I like synchronizing all the time, so I don't have to remember to sync when I get back to Wi-Fi. So now you're set up to use it on your phone and tablet. Let's take a look at how do you enter stuff. There's so many ways you can input stuff: notes, lists, pictures, voice memos, and more. So the slide here is showing on the iPhone, that first bar across the top, the big green plus will create a new note. That new note will have across the top that middle bar that says A, B, C, and the A. If you go over there and click the little plus on the right, it drops down this menu so that you can take a photo, add from photos, record audio, add a sketch, or attach a file. So all kinds of ways to put information in there. On the desktop, at the very top of Evernote, there's a New Note In button. You can click that to create a new note and specify which notebook it goes in, and then the formatter to create bullets, numbered lists, and checkboxes. You can take screenshots in Evernote, and this is that Evernote helper that I mentioned earlier. If you enable it up in the menu bar of a Mac, you'll see that little elephant. If you click on that, you get this little drop-down menu. Click in the middle one, which shows the crosshairs, and you can drag your cursor across the screen. It'll take a picture of that area and send it to Evernote. I find this really useful. A lot of financial sites don't print well when you try to print a confirmation, so I'll just take a screenshot of the confirmation and pop it in Evernote. Easiest way to save a web page is with the web clipper, which is why I said enable it for your extension. At the top of the browser, you'll see a little elephant. Click that and it'll give you some options for how you want to save the page. There's a couple of ways to attach files in Notes. You can add a file from the format menu. Just click on the little paperclip. If you have a note open, you can drag the file and drop it on the note. Or to create a new note with a file, you can just drag the file and drop it on the Evernote icon on your desktop or on your quick launch or dock. Mobile devices is similar. I went through this screen a moment ago showing how you can create a new note and create the type. There's also a notification widget on the iPhone that'll let you create a new note. You can take pictures. And Evernote will automatically try to determine what kind of picture you took, whether it's a Post-it note, a document, a business card, or a regular picture. And you can change it if it guesses wrong. And it has an auto capture feature. So you see the little green block there. I was just holding my camera over this business card and it said, oh, this looks like the area you're trying to take a picture, and took it. So I didn't even have to hit the photo button, which is nice and convenient and keeps me from jarring the camera. You can share a web page. When you're looking at a web page, you can hit the share button, and if you've configured it to do so, one of the options is to share it to Evernote. So then that lets you save web pages you're browsing on your mobile device. You can also share a picture from the camera roll into Evernote. And I'm going to quickly talk about some optional methods of handling Evernote. One of them is the LiveScribe pen. The LiveScribe pen will record both audio and handwriting. If you record audio, it saves it as a pencast. It can also save it as a PDF, and you can configure it so that it automatically shoots that note to Evernote when you complete the note. So I use this quite a bit. I use the LiveScribe 3, and they've got a conflict between it and the Apple Watch, so recording audio is not working as well as it used to, but it's extremely handy for taking handwritten notes and having them automatically show up in Evernote. Another option is to scan documents into Evernote. This is good for small amounts of data because you don't want to be a scanner clerk. You can scan it as a PDF or as a picture file. Many notes will send directly to Evernote, or many scanners will send directly to Evernote. Kind of the world class on this is the Fujitsu ScanSnap IX500. I think the model number reflects the price. I think it's around $500. I used the Brother ADS 1500W. It was like 180 or something, right around 200, I think. And it does a pretty good job of scanning pictures and sending them straight to Evernote for me. Another option to be aware of is shoebox.com. This allows you not to be a scanner clerk when you have large amounts of data. You can mail in documents, Shoebox scans them, and if you ask them to, they'll return them. And you can configure Shoebox to send your notes directly into Evernote. So if you're interested in trying out Shoebox, you can go to shoebox.com. You can use code Don Downs and get I think, yeah, if you do that, we both get 10% off. So you get 10% off your first month, and I get 10% off my next month. But I think they have a free trial you can do even before you do that. So it's worth taking a look at doing that. And they're located right up the street from me in Durham, North Carolina. So it's not like you're sending your documents to a foreign country or something. Another option people like to look at is taking notes on the iPad. And I have tried many methods of this, but I've never been really happy. I've always been a little underwhelmed with that process. And in fact, I wound up giving my iPad to my son, and I bought a MacBook, and I just type all my notes now. I'm really curious to try the iPad Pro because I think it's got better handwriting stuff, and that might actually work. So you get all your notes in there. Well, how do you find them? There's two ways. You can look where you put it, or you can search for it. We're going to talk a little bit quickly about how you look for where you put it. You can organize notes in notebook stacks and tags. Kind of a vertical hierarchy is notes, notebooks, and stacks. Notes are like pieces of paper. Notebooks are like 3-ring binders. And stacks is a collection of notebooks. Let's think about a library. For some reason, librarians call their bookshelves stacks. So that's the only 3 layers you get. Left to my own devices, I'd probably have 500 layers of stuff, but you only get those 3 in Evernote. Advantage of Evernote, they're easy to visualize, easy to organize. The big disadvantage is a note can only be in one notebook, and there's a limit of 250 notebooks. It took me about 3 years, and then I hit that limit and had to reorganize how I stored stuff. Tags are like colored stickers. We've all used these things. The advantage of them is a note can have multiple tags. You can have virtually unlimited tags. It's like 64,000 and something tags you can have. The only disadvantage, it can be a little harder to organize and can get a little messy.
Okay, Don, you're going in like 100 miles an hour. Can you slow down a little bit?
Okay.
My head is spinning right now.
In the next 5 minutes. All right. So let's look at my suggested organization. I suggest you use very few notebooks and use a limited number of tags. So the reason I say use a limited number of tags is to address that disadvantage of tags that they can get messy. My first foray into tags, I tagged everything, and I wound up with hundreds of tags and multiple tags that meant the same thing, and it just wasn't very efficient. So now I use special symbols to organize the tags. I use a handful of notebooks. I use the inbox that we talked about earlier. I have a notebook where all my goals and affirmations are. One for rituals. I have a morning ritual, afternoon ritual, end of workday ritual, evening ritual. And those are all documented so I can remember what I'm supposed to do at those times. I have a reference notebook, a project notebook, and then I have some shared notebooks. For example, I have a medical notebook with medical notes for all of the family, and I share that with my wife. I have a school notebook with school-related notes, IEP notes and stuff that I share with my wife. I mentioned like client notebooks. I shared where I was the client, sharing a project notebook with Remya when we were working on my office, or as we work on my office. My rule for tags is to minimize the number of tags you use. And to do this, I use some prefixes to help organize them. And I try to always start project tabs with the verb, so it's an action item. The prefixes I talked about, I use @ for context, and that's from the getting things done methodology, which I'll show in a second. I use a $ for projects because most of my projects are work related and hopefully result in dollars. And then I use the little caret symbol to tag individual people, for example, clients. Here's the getting things done contacts. The idea here is you can only do certain things in certain places. If the most important thing you need to do today is mow the yard, you can't do that if you're in a remote office. So don't even look at it on your to-do list. So you can use the context to sort your to-do items by what physical things you need or location you need to be at in order to get them done. You can also nest tags, which provide some visual organization. For example, here I have all of the context tags under a context label and current projects under a projects label. A trick about tags is don't go tag crazy, because when Evernote searches, it searches the content of the note as well as the tags. So at the top of the note, you can enter keywords that you might want to search. So in this example, the subject of the note was fortune. This was a fortune I got at a Chinese restaurant I wanted to remember. And then I just put some things how I thought I might want to search it. Fortune cookie, Red Bull, which was the restaurant, cool sayings, anything else I think I might want to search that for. And by the way, Evernote will search that drawing as well. So if I searched always, that would come back in a search result. It's easy to search in Evernote. You can search tags, text, and you can create saved searches for things you search often. On the desktop, just enter your terms in the search box. There's a little window where you can build a search. So down at the bottom, you click on, it contains, like here I'm showing, containing incomplete to-dos. You can add that into the search. Evernote will also show you your previous searches. So something you searched for recently is easily found. And you can create these saved searches for frequently used searches. So I have searches based on all of my contexts. I showed building one in the previous screen, incomplete to-do items for each context. So I say, oh, I'm at home. What do I need to do at home? And I can take a quick look. Searching on a mobile device is similar. Just enter your terms in the search box. Custom searches are a little more difficult in the note box. They don't have that custom on mobile device. They don't have that custom builder that they do on the desktop. So you have to know the search syntax. However, searches sync across devices. So what I usually do is create and save searches on the desktop, and then I can access them from the mobile device. Previous searches are shown in the search box. Save searches are shown even on the mobile device. Up to save a search, you see in the upper right-hand corner, there's that magnifying glass with a plus sign that will save the search. Just a heads up, make sure you're where you think you are, because a lot of times I'll see that magnifying glass and want to start a new search and hit it, and instead I created a save search of the one I just did. So just be aware, if you see that plus sign here, I need to hit back to the search window and then enter my new search. And I mentioned searches are saved across devices, and it's probably easier to manage them on the desktop. So we're running out of time, but any questions on finding your notes? Hush.
All right, so we have Martha who asks, does a client also need Evernote? All right, I know the answer, but I'll let you take it, Dawn.
If you're sharing notes with a client, the experience will be easier if they have Evernote. You can share notes publicly. So if it's just a few notes, there's a link you can get, and you can send the person the link to the note, and they can access that note. In fact, you may be able to do that with notebooks too. I'm not sure, but to take full advantage of it, I think it would be easier if indeed they did have Evernote.
Now, is this notebooks? Is that like another app similar to Evernote? I'm a little confused.
No, I'm talking about the notebooks organization within Evernote. So a notebook is a collection of notes, and you can share the entire notebook. And then all the notes within the notebook are shared.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've always had my clients also sign in for the free version of Evernote.
Yeah.
So because there's a free version, I guess it's okay for them to also get the Evernote, and it's just easier to share the notes, right? Yep. And the notebook and all that.
Yep, that's true. I think it's a more seamless experience if they have Evernote, and if that's all they're using it for, the free version should be fine.
Okay. Now, Pat says, I don't think Dawn explained how to start before starting a search. So
how to start what?
I guess, okay, so let's start with the beginning. Like when you're starting out a note, mm-hmm. right?
Right.
You have to make those search terms. Is that how it was? So no. If it is like a personal one, you can put your @personal or whatever it is. Sure. Is that what it is?
So Evernote is really good about searching. It'll search everything, including the body of the note. So you really don't have to do anything. You can just search for, if you can remember what's in the note, search for words that are in the note, and it will find it. You will find it faster if you spend a little time organizing it. So that's where tags are really handy. You can organize around tags, and then you can search all the notes with a certain tag. Then you can search, say, certain notes with a certain tag and a certain phrase, and narrow it down even further. When you're first starting out, it's not too bad. If you're like me and you've been using it 4 or 5 years and you've got thousands of notes in there, searches return a lot of notes. And the more I can refine that search, the faster I get down to the exact note I'm looking for, which is usually pretty fast, to be honest. So yeah, when you organize notes, you can put them in a notebook, you can put a tag on them. And then the little trick I showed of just entering at the top of the note any keywords you think you might search on in the future, those just help speed up searches down the line. They're not totally necessary, but it will make your searches faster in the future.
Dawn, is it at all possible for you to actually show the screen with the Evernote and show us how it is?
Sure.
And I do have Pat who says that she understood how good Evernote is, as I did before, but still don't know how to begin using it.
Okay.
So if you can
Let's
share.
just walk through that. All right. Give me a minute to bring up Evernote.
Okay. I think there was a lot of information, but you were like fast, man.
Because I looked at the clock and I go, okay, I spent 15 minutes telling you how great Evernote is. Now I got 15 minutes to tell you how wonderful you can use it. Is this the right? All right. So let me share here.
Because that way I think we can also show them the clipper, the elephant.
Right. All right. So
I can't. Okay.
Here's Evernote. I've got a note in here. This was a picture note. I was evidently showing how a drawer was organized. That's wrong, by the way. We were trying to fold stuff the way Marie Kondo says to do it, and the like power magic of tidying up or whatever it is. I've since learned that I was folding them wrong. But anyway, so like here's a note. I have not bothered to put a title on this note, but maybe we could do that. Drawer organization, and maybe this was related to a project called Organize Kids Rooms, right? And then I would probably put this in a notebook called Project Support, right? So now that got that note out of the inbox, and it's, if I want to find it, I can go over and look in Notebook, Project Support, and I'll see all of the Project Support notes that are over here. I can search on tag, or I could look in the tags. So here is a project for organizing the kids' room. There's the note for that. I could search notes. So if I search for organize, only found the one note for drawer organization. This, by the way, is a sample account I used specifically for this, so you don't see all my personal stuff when I share my screen. That's why there's so few notes in here.
All right. So over here, there is the notes, the notebooks, tags. Can you just go through that on the side?
Sure. So if we look at the Evernote screen as a whole, on the left side, we have shortcuts. So shortcuts, these are ones I've created. So the inbox is always up top. And then if I'm currently working on project one, I might drag it over there as well. And the same with the context for the errands. Recent notes show up here. This here shows you all of the notes that are in here in Evernote. This will show you all of your notebooks and all of your tags. And if a note goes missing on you, you can come down here and look in trash and see if you've deleted it at some point. The next section here is a place where it shows like an index of notes. And notice here we're looking at all notes, but I can change this and look and say, just look in notebook one. Looks like I don't have any notes in notebook one. Or notebook two. But I do have a couple of notes in notebook. So I can look in a specific notebook here and see all of the notes in that notebook. And then if I select a note, that note shows over on the right side here. You notice up at the top here, it shows what notebook it is in. And over here, it would show any tags that are in it. Now to create a new note, right here in the center, there's a new note option. So right now it's defaulting to new note in notebook. So if I click this, it'll create a note and automatically put it in this notebook here. I can also hit the down arrow and create the new note in inbox. Then just title it and put in my notes. Notice as soon as I came into the notes section, this menu bar popped up. So now I have all kinds of formatting. I can change the font size, I can bold, I can italicize. I can create bulleted lists. I can create numbered lists. Notice I still had italics on, but I can easily fix that. And then one of my favorites is creating checkboxes.
I love those.
So I create to-do lists out of this. And what's really cool about checkboxes, in addition to the fact that I can actually check items on and off, is when I do a search, so I can add search option. Let's not do that. Let's just add a search option for contains incomplete to-dos. Click add. So now I'm going to search for all of the notes with unchecked checkboxes. And here they are. So there was the one, oh, here's one I created a while ago. Another one with unchecked items. Here's a list demonstrating a checkbox. There's a list of things I need to do for my checkbox, for my website. A brain dump of things I need to do. Just, you know, so, and here's the one I created just a minute ago. So this is really, really handy for tracking to-do items in Evernote. You can put these little checkboxes on them and then search for any checkboxes that aren't checked off. And of course you can narrow it down, you know, search on incomplete checkboxes with a certain context or on a certain project or something like that, and just get all of the incomplete to-do items, you know, that you can do at home or that you need to do on a specific project.
How do you search for that? That's interesting.
Right. So let's see. I think I have, do I have any incomplete things in errands? Let's create a note over here.
So you're talking about if there are your to-do list, right, for the whole week, and then you can just look at the ones that you haven't checked off?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
So here I'm going to put a tag on this called @errands. So, and it says I need to buy cat food. I'm going to create another note. I'm going to put a errands tag on it. And this one is going to say, buy flashlight batteries. But yesterday when I was at the store, I bought my flashlight batteries. Right. So now I can come in and I can search notes, and I can search for notes with a tag of @errands and contains incomplete to-dos.
Oh, that's so cool.
Right. So that note I created a minute ago that said buy flashlight batteries didn't show up because it was checked off. But if I come over here and I uncheck it, and then I go back to that search, @errands, errands with incomplete. Oh, and I might have to sync it. Oh, no, there it is. Oh, right. I was looking in the wrong place. So both of these notes showed up. Obviously, only one of them showed up over here because that's the active note. But errands, here, the buy cat food note showed up. The buy flashlight batteries showed up. If I now say I did that, and I see the flashlight note disappeared from this search. So I find this really helpful. I do this exact thing. When I think of stuff I have to do when I'm out and about, I tag it with @errands. And then when I'm out running errands, I can bring up this search. I bring it up on the iPhone, and I can see all of the stuff I need to do. And then I can decide, you know, hey, you know, I'm a half mile from the dry cleaner. Let me go do that. I'm 10 miles from the Apple store. I'm going to save that for another day. But I can knock things out pretty quickly that way, you know, organizing around that. Same thing with, you know, errands at home, things I have to do around the house or things at work. I tag phone calls I need to make that way. And then if I'm somewhere, you know, have a few minutes, I'm sitting in the car, but I got my phone, I can quickly knock out a couple of phone calls. So it's really useful for taking advantage of those little pockets of time that might otherwise be wasted, that you can find your to-dos, you know, and same with projects. I've done a lot of project organization in Evernote. There are other, you know, specific to-do apps that might be better for your needs, but for just general making to-do lists and checking stuff off, Evernote is great.
So Michael asks, would the same search function work if the to-do items were under the same note?
Sure. Yeah, well, see what happens there. Now, if I'm going to put a note here that says replace car tires, right? All right. So now this same search, it shows up. Even if I check a note off though, it's still going to show up because it's in the note. So once it only does to a note granularity. So because there is an incomplete to do in this note, it shows up. If I do both items, the note will go away.
Okay.
But if only one item is done, if only one item is incomplete, you know, then that will show up. So there's still a little bit of manual processing. You know, when you get your hits, you got to go look at the note and see what on this note still needs to be done and what doesn't. You know, what I've done, if you have a large list, is I'll start copying the complete ones off into another note so I can just keep active things, or just delete them if they're not important. You know, once you buy the cat food, who cares? You can just delete it and save the space.
Right. All right. So Judy Miller asks, doesn't Evernote limit the storage based on which version you have?
It does. And I don't have those numbers off the top of my head, but the free version is, I think, something on the order of 10 megabytes, and the pro version, and that's it might be per note. And I think there's also a bandwidth of how much you can do in a month, or at least there used to be. So when I had the free version, they reorganized a while ago and downgraded the free version. Before that, I ran the free version for about a year before I upgraded. And I upgraded largely because I just felt like I was using this thing all the time and they deserve $45 of my money to keep developing it. With the reorganization, they're really kind of pushing you more into the paid tiers. But even the pro level, I think with their last rate hike was like 60 or 65 bucks a year. So, you know, that's $5 a month. If you can't invest $5 a month in your business, you got to look real hard at what you're doing in your business. You know, now you can go send yourself to the poorhouse investing $65 at a time, but I don't think you'll be disappointed with Evernote.
Right. All right. So Judy also asked about mobile device available storage. Isn't that all synced?
Yeah,
or do
it's
you
all
have
synced.
separate?
It is all synced, and recent notes are cached on the device. So I've not had trouble with Evernote running out of space for me. I can see how it could, but I think it handles caching behind the scenes pretty well. So, you know, if your device is completely full and every day you're looking for things to delete to make space, you'll probably have some problems. But if you've got some headroom, it's probably okay.
Now, Shirley asked, with the free version, should I see the option for text type, etc., as you show on that screen? I cannot see that in my notes.
Yes. In fact, this demo account is the free version. So yeah, you're talking about this up here, the formatting bar.
Shirley, is that what you're talking about? Yes.
Yeah. So when you click in the note is when that shows up. If you're up here on the title or up here in the notebook or the errands or the tags, but once you click down in the note itself, that bar should pop up.
All right. Dawn, we are done with your presentation so far, right? Or
yes.
Did you need to go back in? Okay.
I think I had a conclusion screen.
Okay. So keep the questions coming, people. And don't forget to go in onto your social media and use those hashtags for me.
And don't forget to get Evernote.
Don't forget to get Evernote. It's really cool. I think I learned something new. I think I'm like an intermediate user, and I learned quite a bit of things new. I have a feeling that for the beginners, this was a little overwhelming.
Yeah. So big takeaways for a beginner, I would say, is you get it and install it, set up a default inbox, and then go back to that slide I had of how to organize your notebooks. You may not need all of those just yet, but you know, probably an inbox, a project notebook, a reference notebook is a great start. And then look at the tag organization and create a system to tag projects differently from people and things like that. And that's pretty much the organization layer that you can start with. And then, and I really recommend just starting with that. It's tempting to go, oh, hey, look at all the cool things I can do. But generally, until you've used it a while, it's better to keep it simple. And then you know, as you get more and more comfortable, add things in. But it's very easy with a new system, any new system, not just Evernote, to overload yourself with the cool things you could be doing instead of getting really used to the basic functionality that's built in.
Oh, and can you also just demonstrate the web clipper?
Sure.
To save an image from a note, to save, like, I think you've shown me this, because just so everybody knows, I learned Evernote from Dawn. So, so how do you get the elephant head on top of your screen?
Right. Okay.
The web clipper. And there are a lot of people who are asking whether you will be kind enough to give us a copy of these slides.
Sure.
Awesome.
If we have, got to share. All right, so here's a website. And if I want to copy this entire site, there's a little elephant up here, right at the top of Safari. So I can click on that.
And the elephant you can get from the main Evernote website.
Yep, it's evernote.com/ I had the link in the slides. Maybe
yeah, I think you did.
Browser or something like that. I know I had the link in the slide. So you get that and install that extension. When you click on the elephant, it'll pop up this little window. You can save the full page. You can save the article, which there's really not much here to trim out, but you know, a lot of well, here, notice it took out the header and just left the basic article. Simplified article gets rid of all of the formatting and just keeps the basics. You can pick what notebook you want to clip it to. You can add a tag right here if you want and put in any remarks. And when you hit save, it syncs it. And with the premium version, it'll show you any notes that it thinks are related. That's based on search terms. So now if I come back over here and sync, oh, it's probably sent it to my personal account instead of to this demo account, because I'm logged in on that one. So I can't show you that it actually popped in, but it actually pops that in there. Okay. And then the other thing I'll show you is if I share for Mac users, this will be fun to share the screen that has Remya's picture on it. Yeah, that's sharing. So now at the top, that top menu bar on the Mac has this elephant. So if I click there and I choose these crosshairs, I can come in and clip just this portion of the screen, for example. So then that creates this picture and I can save that to Evernote.
And so that's actually
for just grabbing a screenshot. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's actually very beneficial for us designers as we are sharing something with our clients.
Yeah, I use it.
I'm using it all the time.
I use it a fair amount. You know, like I said, I've had an issue with a lot of financial pages where I'll go make a payment or make a deposit or transfer funds or something, and then the ordinary web clipper doesn't work because of the security on the site. It doesn't refresh and reload. So I've just gotten where on a financial page I use that, capture the screen copy as a copy of the transfer I made, and pop it to Evernote, and then I have a record of it.
One more quick question, Don. Can you address the required amount of storage on mobile device? If you have a 16 MB on an iPhone, it fills up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a good question. I really don't know how much Evernote is using. I think it just caches recent stuff, so I think it'll manage it and take stuff out. It doesn't have to have room for all of the notes that you've stored up there. But you got to have some, as with any app, you got to have some headroom for it to work. So I would try to save a chunk of what you got there. It's a 16 gig device, right? So I'd want at least a gig for Evernote. I'd also suggest upgrading when you can. I live with my phone so much. I just keep buying more and more bigger and bigger devices.
Right. Okay. And yesterday when we were speaking, you said that you had something to share with everybody.
Yes.
Right. So I'm going to send everyone those.
Okay.
Right. You had certain.
You've got the links.
Website. Yeah. I think
there's two things that you can just send the link, or I can try to bring back the slide that had them. But I have a free download you can get of 10 productivity hacks you can do with Evernote to show you interesting things you can save with Evernote. And also I have a course called Control the Chaos that takes you through all of the stuff I did today at a much slower pace and with exercises to help you, use it as soon as I present it. There's some exercises so you can try it out and make sure it works. And also it goes into more depth than everything we could cover today. And I will let you have the first module of that course for free. And Remya has a link to get that. And if you get that and like it, then you can upgrade to the full course.
Okay. And that would be like a step-by-step instruction kind of a thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. With, video screenshots showing how I do things and descriptions of why I do it.
Okay. All right, cool. I don't think we have any more questions, so I think we should wrap it up. Last call for questions. Well, and plus we are out of time, so.
So there you have it. By definition,
yeah, so there we have it. Yeah, okay. So Don, that was definitely a great session. And on behalf of ASID, thank you so much for bringing us such valuable content. We so appreciate it.
Thank you.